Give me a little intro there, Gomer.
Let's put on the show.
You're listening to the Station 71 podcast. My name is Mario, and this week I'm joined by my co-hosts,
Beth
and Brian.
So we got a fun one this week. In honor of the 50th celebration, we are going to be talking about some, I guess, weird publicity stunts. This started as a conversation about the birthday cake castle and kind of blossomed into so much more. Yeah, but let's dig our way through some of these news topics that we have to discuss this week. First one that we have on here is that the character meet and greets have been renamed to character sightings, and some princesses are possibly going to be cut from the November return. This is, I don't know. We kind of talked about this last week, that like the short distance character sightings and being able to see characters from like 2 feet away is not really doing it, but I guess Disney's got to do what they got to do. So this is expected.
Yeah, like I know I've said that I'm not a huge meet and greet person, but man, I couldn't imagine standing in a line to do one of these and then not actually really getting to do a meet and greet. Just the experience doesn't seem worth it to me with it being like this.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, it would be, I feel like, more meaningful to happen to walk by a character and snap a selfie with them than it would be to wait in a line.
Yeah. So I'm also kind of confused. Like, obviously, the face characters make sense that you're not going to have the guests coming up very close to them, but kind of wonder with like the full costume characters, like, I mean, if they were wearing a mask underneath the costume, wouldn't you be able to do meet and greets like normal now?
I guess, but I also think that putting a mask under a costume character sounds like a bad idea, right?
Oh, I mean, like that's, I mean, it would be awful. I wouldn't want them to have to do that. I'm just very surprised that Disney has not said, yeah, do that, because that's one thing that we can go back to normal doing.
I suppose. I mean, I don't know. I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised, and this is just all sorts of weird. I think that at the point that we're at now, it's just, I don't know. I feel like meet and greets shouldn't even be coming back at this point. I think we should just be sticking to cavalcades, and I think that we should be sticking to the stuff that we can do. But what am I? What am I, Disney? But a podcaster that is nothing to you.
What am I but a simple podcast host?
So let's talk about this next one that we have on here, is that the Animal Kingdom character floats have received a 50th anniversary makeover. Some eagle eye people in the parks have noticed that the floats look different, have the 50th symbol, have the 50th color scheme that's rather extravagant. And yeah, I guess that's exciting.
Yeah, I don't really feel like they fit in Animal Kingdom.
No.
But at the same time, I do feel like the boats needed something.
It's so funny because this is the one that I always forget about, right? Like, this is the one that's easiest to ignore.
Mm-hmm.
And the few times that I've seen it, it's like it just kind of zips by. And the one time I saw it, we were going into Pandora, and it was like King Louie and Baloo on a boat just riding down the river. I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, it's really, they can't get anywhere close to guests with this thing, so yeah.
Yeah, and I guess they look nice, I'm sure. But
the
you're
little
right.
details, I guess. Good to see that they're doing things.
The little peacock on the back that kind of ties it into Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, and there's butterflies. Those are 2 animals. There's a bamboo thing.
There's a bamboo.
A couple of bamboo things.
I do love
Oh.
that they just took a pontoon boat and basically put like cardboard cutouts on it and
Mhm.
painted it. I mean, that works. but
Painted it really nicely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not to take
Better
that
than I
away
could have
from.
done, I'll tell you that.
It was a efficient use of resources, we'll say.
There we go. I'm sure it didn't take too long.
Our next topic that we have on here is that the Frontierland Shootin' Arcade is going to close once again next month. Yeah.
After just reopening for no fee, it's now free to play. They're closing it again. It doesn't say permanently closed, but there's apparently no operating hours listed
That's-
from November 27th to December 11th.
I
That's
feel
what
like
the rumor mills are saying that it might not be coming back.
I feel
Yeah,
like
I
it's gonna
don't
come
get
back.
it. Like why they would refurb it and then reopen it for free just to be like a month later take it away again.
Yeah.
So, out of curiosity, the park hours are up and everything, right? Because my initial thought is that the reason hours aren't posted is because they just aren't quite sure what they're going to run it at. I know that like November is literally next week. But it doesn't feel, I don't think this is going to close. I think that this is too small of a footprint for Disney to really throw anything in. And I think that, like Beth said, what's the point of refurbing it and then closing it?
I mean,
Yeah.
right. There's nothing else that can go here. So like I said, I've never been one to like not want Disney to change for the most part. But yeah, like if you don't have something better to put there, and I don't know what you could put there, then I don't know why you would close it permanently.
Yeah. I don't know.
A
We'll
meet
see.
and greet maybe.
You could
Like
maybe,
not that they're doing those right now as we just discussed, but
I mean, you could physically house the meet and greet, but there's like nowhere to put a queue for it.
yeah, that's
I don't
true.
The other
think
thing I
so.
was thinking is this is maybe a little bit of a wild stretch here, but you could feasibly possibly make a quick service there and connect it to the same kitchen as Pecos Bills, but I don't feel like Frontierland is the place that needs that.
What about like, and I'm not trying to promote this because, I'm not one for, hey, let's give Disney extra money for no reason kind of thing, but like a dessert party, like parade viewing area for the future. Not saying that that's what's happening, but like it could be a thing. Like this is on the parade route.
Yeah.
If you blocked this off and sold it at a premium as a viewing location, people would pay for it probably.
I would say you could, I mean, and again, I don't think I would want this either, but you could even do kind of like keep the same aesthetic and do like a kind of, like second story kind of like porch type deal on top for like an excellent viewing area.
Oh yeah, that'd
And
be
I would,
cool.
that would be something that I might even consider paying for.
Yeah, me too. Especially if dessert was involved.
Yes.
I don't
As long
know
as
about
it's
that
less.
one, but I could see it. I could totally see it. Next thing we've got on here is that there are some new permits that are suggesting a change to Rock and Roller Coaster is coming. I feel like this has been also rumor milled for quite some time, but seeing an actual permit attached to this is, I don't
Well,
know.
the thing is, the only thing that's on the permit, as far as I read, is the exterior guitar icon.
Yeah.
So, like, repainting it, basically. But the interesting part of this article to me was that it says rumors have been circulating that the attraction will be getting a retheme as Aerosmith will be giving Universal Music Group the rights to their music next year.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that's where this all kind of started, was the Universal Music Group thing, but I don't know. I wonder what their contract is, right? Like if Disney has some kind of finite detail in there that keeps Universal Music Group from having the rights to Aerosmith, and that keeps this in the play for this area for a little bit longer, right?
Yeah, maybe it's in the contract that only Disney can use Aerosmith's music in a theme park on the east side of the Mississippi River, like they have with the weird Marvel thing.
Weirder things have happened, unfortunately.
I would love to just see the lawyer that got that and just like, why are we doing this again?
Yeah, man. They really pick stuff apart sometimes and put real specific language. It's
Mm-hmm.
an interesting form of law, I'm sure.
Yep.
Let's talk about the not Disney related
I was really hoping we
elephant
wouldn't, but
or pig in the room. So
the
again,
next,
Disney related, but
go ahead, Beth. I can't steal this away from you.
No, I can't believe that this is a thing. We have Peppa Pig theme park opening in February of 2022. Just steps away from Legoland, Florida. It will open on February 24th. Get ready to enjoy 6 rides, 6 themed playscapes, a water play area, and more, all designed after our good friend Peppa Pig.
I love that this article opens with, "We finally have an official opening date for the new Peppa Pig theme park." Like, who's waiting for that?
I've been dying for this announcement for months. I didn't even know, honestly, did not even know that this was a concept until we were driving home from Orlando a couple weeks ago and saw a billboard for it. And I was like, what?
I mean,
All right.
Are the kids even still watching Peppa Pig anymore? Like,
I don't know, but you can get an annual pass for this park, just in case you were wondering.
okay, I almost like had a stroke because I thought that was just the daily ticket price. I just saw a price and I was like, what? And then, I mean, even still for an annual ticket, that seemed kind of steep. But
Apparently, this is part of Legoland.
it says it's next to it. Is what it does?
It's like
They're
Oh,
trying
it's-
to have like the Legoland universe.
it's got to be in conjunction because their website advertises for Legoland.
Oh man, well this was a big get for the Lego company to secure.
yeah.
Oh
the
my
Peppa Pig
gosh.
ride.
I need you all to look at this section of their website for their attractions, because every single person in this is photoshopped into something. Like, none of these attractions have actual pictures besides the Muddy Puddles splash pad, and the kids are still photoshopped into it. Oh no,
They
all
were
of these
there.
are like computer renderings.
They had a very hard time making the kids look excited in the on-site photos, so they had to shop them in.
I love this is this photo of the cinema, which is actually apparently, it looks like the same picture as the camper van. It's just an extended version of that picture. The proportions of the children are definitely not the size of like actual children.
I mean, honestly, it's not even good photoshopping. Like,
I love this.
This-
is
I'm not convinced that this is real yet. This looks like some kind of April Fool's joke that somebody
It
in the middle
really
of October.
does.
This one of whatever this ride is with this woman holding the baby on this dinosaur themed ride, like, seriously looks like somebody used Microsoft Paint to add them into this.
I want you all to know that their passes have names. There's the Peppa Pig theme park annual pass, which is only $75. You have the Awesomer pass for $229.99, and then the Awesomest pass for $299.99.
Well, at least the tiers won't get confusing.
The Awesomer pass includes unlimited access to Legoland Florida, admission to Legoland theme park and water park, and all annual events plus 3 Merlin attractions for 12 months.
What are
no blackout
Merlin
days.
attractions?
I don't know.
Okay, Sea Life Aquarium Orlando, Madame Tussauds Orlando, and Legoland Discovery Center Atlanta.
Oh.
Hmm.
So you actually get a lot out of that awesome pass.
Awesomer.
I really hate that this turned into a discussion about the Peppa Pig.
Okay, but
Sorry.
realistically,
If you were a local and you had a very small child, $75 to have like a safe place to take them on like a random Wednesday or something. If you're a stay-at-home mom, I guess I could see it because none
Take
of
them to the park. It's free.
well, yeah, I would much rather take them to the zoo or something. But
yeah, looks like a slightly more expensive park. Like,
I mean,
calling this a theme park is kind of pushing it, I think, at least from the pictures I'm seeing.
to be fair,
Yeah.
we can't really tell what this is going to be because all of their pictures are computer renderings with people
and half
photoshopped
of
into
them
them.
just say image under construction. Now listen, y'all. I think this is appropriate to call it a theme park. There is a roller coaster, Daddy Pig's roller coaster coming, and
Oh,
Grampy Rabbit's dinosaur adventure, which looks like basically a merry-go-round of dinosaurs.
This rendering of the roller coaster, it really doesn't seem like it would be that safe to let guests get that close to the roller coaster.
I also want you to know that they apparently have an Instagram. Their website links their Instagram. It's Peppa Pig Theme Park Florida, all one word. And they only are following 40 people, and they have less than 5,000 followers.
That's fantastic.
wow.
I wonder how many of those are real people.
That's what I'm looking at. There are actual videos of people in front of things at their Instagram. So, other than that, it looks like a giant construction wall.
Okay, what is Mr. Bull's High Striker? This is not a picture of it.
It says, test your strength on Mr. Bull's hammer and bell ride. Once the hammer hits the bell on Mr. Bull's High Striker, you and your family will lift straight up to the sky. Be prepared for a surprise because after all, what goes up must come down on this kid-friendly drop ride. There's not a picture of a drop ride. How do you have a kid-friendly drop ride?
I've seen the ones that are at fairs that they drop like 2 feet in little like increments until they finally come all the way back down. So I'm
It's a
assuming
little
that's
like
what it's
frog
gonna be
hopper
like.
type of thing.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Peppa Pig for a second outside of the theme park and like how this is not good art at all? Like these characters, I could draw these characters. I could
Beth,
have
is this
no
your first
formal
foray into Peppa Pig?
I have no formal art like experience in the sense of like physical art. And I could
Well,
draw these characters. How did
my-
this get so popular?
I don't know, but my thing with Peppa Pig was always like, how they do the thing with Mickey's ears, how like Mickey's ears, no matter which way he turns his face, like his ears are always round. Like
I know exactly what you're going to
Yeah.
say here because this has been my thing with Peppa Pig too.
But yeah, they do that with Peppa Pig's entire face, and it weirds the hell out of me. I hate it so
Yep.
much.
I have heard that Peppa Pig has some good humor in it.
Oh, honestly, it does. Like Jordan used to nanny, and one of the kids she nannied like watched it a lot, and she was
It's
like,
okay
"Oh,
if Jordan watched it, Brian.
well,
You don't have to make excuses.
She like sent me some clips. I'm like, damn, the comedic timing is really on for this show, for it being a kid's show.
Have you like not actually seen anything
I've
Peppa
seen
Pig
a
related?
clip here and there. Pretty much the only thing I've seen is the one that went around for a while about her whistling.
I was about to say that's
That
my
was the-
favorite one.
That was the one I was about to send. This has got to be removed from this episode, first of all. This is prime tier Patreon content, but
Yeah, we'll throw this as a mid-show like we like to do from time to time.
I was going to send that to the group chat that the comedic timing of that is just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh.
I'm watching
Well-
that clip now because
I mean, I feel like once it opens that I should go for research purposes, right?
I mean it's not expensive, so
yeah, it's
I
like
mean-
$30 for the day.
I'm gonna have like a 4-month-old when this opens, so
Oh, so you
Oh.
should be the one to
Yeah.
go and do the research and let
I
us
probably
know.
shouldn't have said anything.
Send Jordan.
I would have actually. I would have loved for like you to just be walking around like, no kid, no real
Childless.
reason for you to be there. Yeah.
Hashtag childless millennial walking around the Peppa Pig park.
See, and maybe this is just me being biased because I didn't see an issue with it at Disney, but I kind of see an issue with it at the Peppa Pig park. So maybe those people had something going right.
So question for you guys. Do you think we'll get walk around Peppa Pig characters at the Peppa Pig park?
God,
mean-
I hope not. I mean, they have to, right? But like, how horrifying.
So
I'm
that
picturing,
begs the
like, early-
question, like,
I'm picturing,
are
like,
both
early
of her
Mickey
eyes on the
costumes.
same side of her face then if they do a walk around character? Like, what happens when you convert Peppa Pig to like 3 dimensions?
I'm picturing like early Mickey costume Peppa Pig where it like is just creepy because it's the most literal way to translate this character.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
All right, we got to move on from Peppa Pig, y'all.
Hey, you're the one that did
I was
this.
about to say, I kind of regret putting this topic in there now, but I felt like it needed to be discussed. I
Yeah.
literally in the topics on the spreadsheet put LOL at the end.
It needed to be discussed, and we
It
discussed
had to. This is a big Disney competitor right here. So, I mean, they're probably going to lose a ton of business from this. Sarcasm.
Okay,
for the record.
realistic mention here. I wonder how this impacts Legoland's business, because if this is more just like an additional land on it, I don't think anybody's specifically planning for a vacation here.
No.
So, like, did they lose
No.
money on building this?
I mean, again, I don't know how popular Peppa Pig still is with kids, but it's just like it seems like a very odd IP to go with. Like, yeah, I don't know if Lego is gonna invest the time to build a land onto their park based after a children's TV show. This one doesn't seem like the one to go with, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess all the good properties are already owned by major companies.
Isn't no, Sesame Place is SeaWorld. I was gonna say,
Yeah.
isn't Sesame Place similar, but it's not.
It's like, my local theme park, and that's on the border of North and South Carolina. They got like kind of scraped the bottom of the barrel and have characters like Snoopy walking around.
Carowinds?
Well,
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like Snoopy is that we are gonna. This is totally going to be a long episode, and we're going to talk a lot about other theme parks here. But Snoopy's kind of involved in a lot of theme parks, isn't he? Because unless Dorney
Snoopy's
Park
like a
is...
theme park slut. He'll go anywhere.
'Cause I was about to say, because SeaWorld does like a Peanuts Christmas thing, I think. So yeah, he kind of does get around.
Oh, so
I'm pretty sure
he's
he's
not
also-
exclusive.
I'm pretty sure he's also the mascot of Dorney Park too, if I remember correctly, or he was at one point.
And isn't he like a insurance company thing? I don't know.
Damn, Snoopy get
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. Carl Schultz kind of put him on the streets and said, "Go make my money."
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, I don't know that we're gonna top that one. But
We also
before
used to have some Hanna-Barbera characters, just to wrap that up.
there's also a Sesame Place, like just exclusively the Sesame Street part of the SeaWorld edition in Philadelphia. So that's another thing.
Okay. But I mean, it's still relevant, Sesame Street, right? Like,
It's gotta be.
I feel like there are a lot of irrelevant. I'm trying to think. Oh, Woody Woodstock, but that's at Universal too, right?
Oh yeah.
Didn't they have a Woody Woodstock thing at Universal? We had Woody Woodstock at Carowinds. Okay, again, going back to the theme park law, Can we get a theme park lawyer on here to interview?
We
I
might
would
be able
actually
to.
love that.
That would be fascinating.
It really would be.
We'll see what I can do.
Pull those
All right.
strings, Mario.
Yes.
I mean, if you really want to talk about the theme park slut, it's probably the Looney Tunes at Six Flags.
That's
But
probably
even-
true.
I mean, they're just because there's a lot of Six Flags, but are they like really outside of that?
I don't know.
I mean, and then I guess they're not really any more sluts than like Mickey being at all the Disney theme parks, right? If that's the case.
I had to Google this because I was trying to figure out if they were anywhere else, and I'm going way off topic of the off topic conversation here.
Started the topic.
No. There's one of my searches led me to. I'm gonna send this picture in the private
yeah,
chat.
that's definitely a Looney
It's
Tunes
an article
character.
on Looney Tunes fandom
The Witcher.
with the guy from The
Hey,
Witcher.
They know
That's
what
the
sells.
thumbnail.
All right.
I guess he's in Looney Tunes now.
All right, let's talk about the real topic this week. So that brings us to our topic this week, which we are going to be discussing some of the fun, I guess, publicity stunt, birthday event things that Disney has done in their parks, and I guess talk about just some cool little things that we wish that they would do again, because I know I wish that some of this stuff would come back.
Some of it, yes.
Yeah, some of it. So the first category that we have on here are parades and street parties, which I know Beth threw a lot in here. So if there's any specific call outs that you want to talk about.
Well, so like back in the day, Disney did so many weird limited time promotions, and I feel like parades were the most abundant of those promotions. They would just have all kinds of parades for this reason or that reason or whatever. Like it didn't even have to be seemingly that big of a deal to have a parade, but I feel like there were at least a few notable ones that were like, okay, that seems kind of noteworthy. Like, for example, in 1975, they had a parade for the United States Bicentennial, and it was called America on Parade. And it apparently was the replacement for the Main Street Electoral Parade during that time, and it was held during the day and at night, which I feel like, when do we ever see that?
Yeah, it's definitely
Daytime
not
and
common.
nighttime parade? How weird.
Especially when you already had an existing nighttime parade.
Right.
Why not just run the two separate ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this parade was, like all parades, pretty much synchronized to music, and they had performers performing dance routines, and each parade float had characters with costumes that were time period appropriate. So they had like Donald Duck and Mickey, I think, on one, and they were dressed as like, I don't know, like colonial. Spirit of 76 is what it was called. It was Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy standing on a drum next to a heavily themed eagle float, with Mickey holding a variant of the Stars and Stripes as they all opened their parade. And they had like a float for the first Thanksgiving and the Salem witch trials. Like,
That's
what?
such a
That's
wild
awfully
one.
dark.
How odd. It says literally this float featured two costume characters about to be executed with another preparing the execution.
What?
I'm sorry,
It's-
they had like a noose on this float?
It's times like these that make me wish that you could go back in time and have like a high definition recording of things, because I want to know what this looked like.
Yeah.
I want to see this float.
There has to be some kind of documentation on this somewhere, right?
Maybe if we dig deep enough.
All right.
Oh, wait, it's right here. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is the wildest thing. How did I miss this? If you scroll to the bottom of this article that I'm sending in the chat, there are pictures. I didn't even notice that there was a gallery.
Oh no.
And one of which is it's like someone in like was it called, the little
It's like
wooden
a
thing?
A stockade thing.
Stockade, yeah. And then there's like about to drown a witch or boil a witch in a cauldron.
I love that these things look like they came straight out of Small World. Like,
they're honestly horrifying.
This is the nightmare of the Small World dolls coming to life. Like, this is what happens.
Yes. You know, I kind of take it back. Maybe I don't want to see a high definition version of this.
Oh, here. I just found a Yesterland article that has a bunch of pictures as well, if anyone's interested.
Oh, jeez.
I am absolutely interested, but also concerned.
Different times, man.
Mm-hmm.
So this parade did happen at Disneyland and Disney World. So it was a carbon copy. They're like, oh, this is so good, let's do it twice.
We need to kill 4 witches, not just 2.
Okay, hold on.
It's the American way.
How did we not talk about this? My favorite float that I've seen in all of these pictures.
The sandwich.
The American sandwich that is like 5 stories tall here.
That is one of the most American things I think I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we got Scat Cat's jazz band.
Yeah, I don't like any of these.
The most random parade ever. Giant stilt walkers with creepy heads being basketball players.
Oh, I really don't like the Scat Cat jazz band one. They have human hands so they can hold the instruments. I don't like that. Do not like that.
Would you rather them have cat hands, Brian?
I think I really would, honestly. But, I mean, then you can't hold the guitar. So then they're just cats instead of scat cats.
That's fair.
All right, so get this. The creepy people in the parade were repurposed as walk-around characters in Epcot after the parade was over.
I don't know which I hate more. Probably the last one.
Like they all just have such dead, lifeless eyes.
Yes.
Oh,
this is like a inspiration for a horror film.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Anyway, in lighter news, Disney also had a habit of hosting parades for movie releases, which we've talked about, I think, pretty extensively before, a couple of them, specifically the Aladdin one. But one that kind of struck my interest was the Hercules Victory Parade to promote the release of Hercules. So they had, a Hercules parade, but the part that was weird to me was that in addition to the parade, a Theban family of the day was selected to head the parade, wearing togas, laurel leaf crowns, and they got to ride in gold chariots pulled by bicycle-riding Greek soldiers.
It's kind of cool.
I think it's cool. Like, the concept is cool of, like, that was a family's, like, a big memory for them, getting chosen as the family of the day for this special parade.
I really feel like Disney used to go all in for like movie releases and stuff like that, and we're like very far beyond that era of things. Like
now we get a photo op at Disney Springs.
Yeah, but even to like the extent, I'm pretty sure we've talked about this on the show before, like how they brought Main Street Electrical Parade to New York for the release of Hercules. Like Disney would never do that anymore.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, they're like looking at this. I don't understand how it makes fiscal sense. Because I already feel like Disney's kind of preaching to the choir when they're pushing one of their movies in their theme park. Like, I feel like these people are probably already going to go see that. And then to advertise that in one of the I have to imagine is not a very cheap way to like manufacture all these floats, hire performers, go through all that training and everything. Like, I don't know how much it costs, but it doesn't really seem like that for advertising a movie being the main point of the parade. It seems like a very expensive way to go about doing it.
Well, so
Yeah.
most of these things, I guess an important thing to remember is the definition of parade for these things is kind of different depending upon like what you're looking at. This is nowhere near the size of Festival of Fantasy. This is like a mini parade, so probably more comparable to like the cavalcades. Which still, don't get me wrong, is probably not cost effective, but you have things like, you know, them repurposing floats and stuff like that is probably the way that they saved money on these things. Like, obviously, we've talked about the biggest repurposing of one of these, the Lion King being in the Festival of the Lion King. Like, all of those characters came from floats.
Mhm.
So, like, I guess that's where they try to save the money there. But also remember that this is also Heek Eisner era of Disney. He's throwing money out the window. Like, that was
Yeah.
not a real care of his.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
Although we did actually fairly recently have a parade that was promoting a movie, and nobody should be surprised when I say that it was a Frozen mini parade. So it's not like they aren't doing them,
Yeah.
but it's definitely for movies that they know are going to be a hit.
Which again, then it's like, so why are we spending the money to advertise them?
That I agree with.
Yeah. So another interesting parade took place in 1984 and was not have to do with a movie, but rather a character. And the parade was called Donald's Ducks. So, in honor of Donald Duck's 50th birthday, the director of press and publicity for Disney World at the time, his name was Charles Ridgway, had this idea of having Donald Duck parade down Main Street, USA, and being followed by 50 real ducks. So, in order to get those ducks to follow him, the cast member playing Donald was introduced to the 50 ducklings at birth, and they were always fed by him. So, this doesn't sound real, I know.
No, it
No,
doesn't.
this sounds so plausible because like this is the kind of thing that would obviously make you followed by 50 ducks. But why? Why did they put this much effort into a parade about Donald Duck?
Well, you know what else? If they wanted 50 ducks to follow him down, they could have just used the ducks that already live at Disney World and just given him a sandwich. And I guarantee
Yeah,
you
like
those
a
ducks would have
breadcrumb
followed him.
trail.
I also want to know
Yeah.
like what kind of emotional trauma followed these ducks after
I know.
their mother Donald
Yeah.
is no
I was
longer.
gonna say, all
Yes.
they know is Charles Ridgway, and then after this is over with, what do they have left?
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I don't really know about the ethicality of this promotional stunt. You know, like birds are very bonded with their caretakers, and so I'm like, did I like to believe in my fantasy mind that the cast member who played Donald Duck that bonded with these little ducklings, that it was just that was their dad for the rest of their life, and this man lived with 50 ducks in his house.
That I mean,
It's
Just
gotta
let me
be it.
have this. Just let me have this. I need to believe it.
Oh my gosh.
I can say I can definitely confirm that birds get attached. I had a pet duck that I had to raise until it was old enough to release into the wild, and it was very attached and would come back a lot. So yes, it
Aww.
does make me feel for these 50 ducks.
I'm
That's-
choosing to believe that they had a happily ever after, though.
Yeah, that Charles Ridgway just owns a big farm with a lake in it that all the
He just
ducks
owns all the ducks.
stay on.
So, another aspect of the parks that had some interesting changes, to say the least. We'll start with the obvious birthday cake castle. 1996, Cinderella Castle was transformed to celebrate Walt Disney World's 25th anniversary. So it was if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't seen it, you've obviously been living under a rock, because this is I think by far the most publicized version of a promotional event that Disney has done. So the castle was covered in pink paint that looked like icing, had candy cane spires and decorative birthday candles, and this overlay lasted until January 31st, 1998. So a year and a half, basically.
And I will say, as I've said before on here, I did not like the aesthetic of the birthday cake castle, but I do have to applaud Disney for saying, hey, we are going to take and make changes to our most notable icon in the parks, and they went full out with it,
Mm-hmm.
So as much as I didn't like how it really turned out, I would like to see Disney really kind of put this much effort into doing something like that again.
Right. And I agree with you. And I feel like if I was a regular back then, this would have been a cool thing. But I completely understand the people who this was like their maybe once in a lifetime or once in a long time trip, wanting to get that signature castle photo and having this big pink monstrosity in the background.
Yeah.
But another very divisive castle makeover came with the opening of everyone's favorite, most beloved attraction, may it rest in peace, Stitch's Great Escape. So,
go
ahead.
I was gonna say, I think this is more of a turning point for we're never gonna get this kind of thing again than like the birthday cake castle, because okay, I'm gonna steal your thunder here and talk about this for a second, but the Stitch's Great Escape castle was toilet paper covering the castle, graffiti covering the castle, and like Stitch was here, and all the like it basically they tried to make it look like Stitch had kind of hijacked Cinderella Castle, because that was kind of the motif for this movie. Like they had all the trailers where Stitch, ran into other movies, and like those were a big hit. This one is just so wild because it's like the birthday cake castle on one hand, while kind of ugly, celebrates the castle, but this one does the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Right, it's defacing it.
It's basically like they just took a massive dump on the castle and said, here you go.
Yeah. And, this one I feel like was maybe even more divisive than the birthday cake castle for those reasons. But what I didn't know was that there was a whole marketing campaign about Stitch's Great Escape.
Oh, yes. I vaguely remember that.
I knew about the castle, but I didn't realize that there was a whole bunch of things. There was outside of World of Disney at what's now Disney Springs, there was a Magic Kingdom van that looked like it had been crashed into a tree that was supposed to be hijacked by Stitch, like he stole the van and crashed it into a tree. There were wanted posters all over Magic Kingdom that were like Capture Experiment 626. There was a giant inflatable Stitch at the TTC that blocked the view of Cinderella Castle. Monorail spiels became voiceovers of Stitch driving the monorail and announcing, "Welcome to Stitch Kingdom," when you got to the monorail station at Magic Kingdom. And then this was the thing that I thought might have been even the strangest of all, aside from the castle, obviously, was that the area music in the bathrooms in Adventureland and Tomorrowland were turned off and replaced by an intermittent vocal soundscape of Stitch opening and closing bathroom doors looking for Lilo.
Hey, again, they
It's
went all out.
Well, they did go all out, and I commend them for that. I just feel like this is a very bizarre pick.
It was because, let's not forget, this was not for Lilo and Stitch. This was for Stitch's Great Escape.
Right,
which is so insane.
Okay, but here's the other thing. When they made Stitch's Great Escape, I think it's also important to remember kind of like the crux of everything going on around this, right? Like, so Lilo and Stitch comes out, it's a huge hit, and Disney's going to sink all of this money into retheming a ride that's already not getting a ton of like love from guests into Stitch. So it would be like if they were shoving Frozen in that space in this time frame. I don't think Lilo and Stitch had that reach, but it was also a really successful movie. And I don't agree with the bathroom thing. The van is a little questionable, but I think the monorail thing, like, that's pretty great. I really enjoy that. And I think the wanted posters are also a very nice touch. I would be fine with them doing little things like that still.
But
Yeah.
I would
But I
have been fine
definitely
with
see-
all of this as a regular guest. Like, knowing what was supposed to be happening and it being something different is always exciting to me.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like it probably caused, because at this time, I'm sure there were annual pass holders, you know, like there have always been annual pass holders, but there wasn't the social media presence that there is now. So it was probably not very publicized that this is a thing that's happening. So this is what you should expect, because people aren't looking up in 2004, like, how to plan my Disney day, pretty much. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like, maybe they
Yeah.
read a guidebook, but they're not looking at, you know, allears.net or
Yeah, like, this
Disney
would've
Food
been-
Blog.
Like, they would have legitimately probably been surprised when they came into the park.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like it would have been exciting if you came regularly enough to know that that was a thing that wasn't the usual. It wasn't supposed to be happening. But if you were just a regular person coming on your trip and you hadn't done any, like, you didn't know, I feel like I would have been super confused.
Mm-hmm.
I also like, not that this is related to the topic at all, but I also kind of wish that we were in that era of being a Disney fan, right? Because while at the same time, yes, you are very confused by these things. Like, I almost feel like the publicity around Disney right now with Disney run fan blogs and, you know, all of these sites, like you said, you know, All Ears, you know, Blog Mickey, all of these like big name Disney publications, they talk about news. Even us, we talk about Disney news that's not really news, and by the time that it actually becomes news, it's like, oh, we've been talking about that for 3 weeks. And when we originally started talking about it, it was just they put up construction walls around, you know, Primeval Whirl, for example. Like,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
being a Disney fan in that era and walking into Magic Kingdom for the first time and seeing all of these weird changes and things, that would have been absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to have a time machine
Yeah.
and go back and experience it. So, a little more on the tame side. In 2005, we had a worldwide celebration of Disneyland's 50th birthday. So, this milestone was celebrated in every Disney theme park around the world at the time. And so, our castle in Florida was decorated with gold spirals and character statues, with Peter Pan and Wendy flying around the tallest spire, which I thought was very cute. And a magic mirror was added to the front of the castle, which is where you would see the big 50 displayed today. And it circulated images of other castles from Disney parks around the world.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I like this one.
Tame, but effective.
Right.
And then in 2007, we saw the very first incorporation of the Cinderella Castle Dream Lights. For holiday 2007, we have all these lovely icicle-looking lights scattered over the castle. And Disney World has incorporated the lights into yearly celebrations pretty much every year since. Obviously, it has not been the last couple of years due to coronavirus and the current situation with the castle being decorated for the 50th. But one of the more notable changes that they made to it was starting in 2019 to accommodate Frozen fever, which had swept over Disney fans and maybe still sweep into this day.
The original pandemic.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Oh, that was rough.
They debuted a Frozen holiday wish in which Elsa herself would light the castle lights at night.
I still think that this is clever. I'm not the biggest Frozen fan, but I love the lights on Cinderella Castle at Christmas. I think that that's a fantastic touch, and the way that they've incorporated it into Frozen, it just makes sense, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's like whether or not you like Frozen, to just see the castle light up, like, okay, then don't pay attention to the show. Just watch the castle light up, because I mean, it still is pretty breathtaking as many times as I've seen it. Like when it happens, they've done a great job with it.
Yeah.
Sure. So I'm sure, there have been little iterations and decorations throughout the years of the castle, but I feel like the big notable one since then is our current castle, obviously celebrating Walt Disney World's 50th, quote unquote, most magical celebration on Earth, I believe is what they're calling it.
Is that the tagline?
And I think that's the tagline. And it was kind of divisive too, I think. The new paint job was it kind of being this palish pink and deep blue color scheme. And then they decked it out with gold ribbons and gold accents and blue ribbons and all these little details that they added all around the castle. Which I ultimately, when I first saw it, before it had any of the little accents, I thought it looked tacky and cartoony. And I've talked about that in a previous episode. I'm sure we all have if you go back and listen. But I do feel like having seen it in its like full glory, like fully done for the 50th, kind of tied it all together, especially with the big 50 on the front that kind of has all the colors mixed together on it. I feel like really added to it, and I don't hate it as much as I did before.
I kind of wonder what happens after the 50th, right? Like, do we get the like ribbons and stuff still because they tie the castle together? That 50 definitely comes down, but I don't know. That's where I feel like I end up landing with that still. I like it. I'm happy that it got a refresh, but I think the end of this all is going to be the big the color scheme.
Yeah, I never really thought about that actually. What does it look like when the 50th is over? Do they give it a few years and refresh it again? Do we just keep this like color scheme indefinitely? Who knows?
I mean, my take has always been, give it a couple years in the Florida sun and it goes back to being white and blue again.
Well, that's true. We'll have our old castle back in no time. So, in addition to castle changes, Disney has also had many celebrations and events throughout the years. One of which being Disney's Millennium Celebration, which was mostly celebrated at Epcot, which theme-wise, I feel like makes sense. But
go ahead,
the big divisive part of this celebration was the 25-story high magic wand and Mickey Mouse hand, accompanied by a giant 2000 across the top of Spaceship Earth. So
this is a memory I definitely have of Epcot.
Oh yeah, I really like this one.
I don't know. I feel like this is not really a hot take that we've talked about the I guess overlays to park icon stuff, but I guess because I remember it, it's got fond memories.
I mean, I never saw it in person, but I don't really have an issue with it just based on the photos. I think it's interesting that it was more expensive than the Cinderella Castle cake makeover.
Oh, that's
why they left it up for so long, apparently.
Another thing that's funny about this too is we've talked about the height limits in Florida with the fly zones, right? Like I love the fact that this is just over that, so they had to put the little blinking red light on the wand.
Right, exactly.
Actually, I have another weird one that I want to kind of shift off of this for a second, and then we can come back to it.
Okay.
You mentioning the wand going up. Do you guys remember when they had that I guess press event back in like 2013 for their Monsters Inc. summer event thing they were planning on doing, and they put Mike Wazowski on Spaceship Earth for the press event? I'm so happy that never saw any sort of like public thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a projection, though.
Yeah, but like that as you're leaving Epcot, that's
Yeah, no, I mean, that would be a little unsettling, you're right. I certainly would rather see Spaceship Earth in its natural beauty than big Mike Wazowski staring at me.
Yeah.
But going back to the Millennium Celebration, this also brought us the wildly unpopular Leave a Legacy program, during which over 550,000 guests left personalized tiles on granite monoliths at the entrance.
The tombstones.
The tombstones, exactly.
This is one that I'm very indifferent on still. I like what they've done to them now. But before, I don't know.
Yeah. I
Like,
definitely
I think-
prefer the way that they look now than the tombstones that they were before.
Like, I really like the idea behind Leave a Legacy, but the aesthetics of it were not very well done, in my opinion.
For sure. The only thing I feel like they were good for is if you stood in a certain angle, you could get a picture in front of Spaceship Earth with no people behind you because they were all blocked out by the monoliths.
Gotta
Yeah.
hit them angles.
But other than that, yeah, it gave like a really weird, solemn vibe to the entrance of Epcot, and I feel like now it being much more open and vibrant is much more to my liking, personally.
Yeah.
But with the Millennium Celebration, we also got a new 60,000 square foot Millennium Village located near the UK Pavilion, which represented several countries that did not have existing representation in World Showcase, such as Brazil, Chile, Scotland, and Sweden. So the Millennium Village hosted an international food court with 8 kitchens, had artists from seven different countries demonstrating their work, and also had a 250-seat theater for performances. So most of you people out there would recognize this building as the World Showplace, as it is now called, which is used to host kitchens during Epcot's mini festivals. We also got a new parade, Tapestry of Nations. And
We've talked about this parade, right?
yes, we definitely did. And I think we had like a whole episode on parades, didn't we?
Oh, that may be going back, but this parade, I still don't know how I feel about this one either.
Yeah, just based on what I've seen is, some of it's a little unsettling, I think.
Yes.
It's probably a very
definitely.
hot take to not really like this parade, but yeah, no, there is a lot of very unsettling stuff in here.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely took a very artful approach to it, but yeah, it's it's not what you're gonna expect to see going into a Disney theme park.
Mm-hmm.
Although at the time, this fits I very well. Like, I wouldn't even say that you would expect a lot of the stuff that they had in Epcot at the time. Like for a Disney park, because now it's very Disney-fied, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that stuff was not.
Yeah, and at the same time as I think a lot of this parade is kind of unsettling, I also like what they were trying to do and kind of wish that was, that maybe we could have some more original stuff like that, but not quite so.
Creepy.
Yeah, exactly. But for those of you out there listening who aren't familiar with it, it was a parade that was comprised of about 120 puppets ranging from 12 to 17 feet tall. And the grand marshal of the parade was the Sage of Time, who is the stilt walker wearing a white robe with gold trim and had designs of timepieces and alchemy symbols and a headpiece resembling a sun with a face. And I feel like this is one of the more unsettling parts of the parade.
This is probably by far the most unsettling part of this parade.
So, to keep the timing of the parade, I thought this was interesting. To roughly 20 minutes, 3 identical units were released simultaneously at different locations along the parade route.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, if they would come in and go out, come in, go out, at the same time. So they could hit all of World Showcase at the same time, pretty much. And then, of course, the best part
thing to come out of
the
this
Millennium Celebration was new fireworks show that we all knew and loved as Illuminations, Reflections of Earth. May it rest in peace.
Rest in peace, indeed. I miss this show.
Definitely. So good.
This is one that I will go back to the soundtrack for and listen to this and just miss this show a lot.
Yeah. I did learn this. I don't know if you guys already knew this, but the 19 gas torches that are installed around World Showcase were installed for this show to represent the previous 19 centuries. And the final torch that came out was to represent the new century.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Did kind of know that. I think that there was a lot of these things that Disney did in their, I guess, publicity stunts or these little special events. They always kind of tried to do things like that, where it was like, there is some symbolism here. There are these things that represent that thing. And they were pretty open about it if you looked for it, which that's nice. I like when they do things like that.
So in 2005, we had the happiest celebration on Earth, which I think we already talked about a little bit in the Cinderella Castle was decorated specifically for Disneyland's 50th. But we also got 4-park premiere of blockbuster attractions and shows all across Walt Disney World to celebrate Disneyland. But that's okay. We'll take it. The thing that I thought was interesting about this celebration was that they had a happiest pass holder on Earth essay contest, and annual pass holders could submit a 400-word essay explaining why they believed that they were the happiest pass holder on Earth. And so Disney chose 50 winners, and the prize was that each of them got to come to the press event that kicked off the happiest celebration on Earth. And also kicked off, it was the official opening of Lights, Motors, Action stunt show. But the theme for the press event was Espionage Soiree, Lights, Camera, Intrigue. And guest reports of this event had note of people dressed in all black that would dart in and out of the crowd suspiciously, or hide behind benches and light posts and then take off at full speed as if they were being chased.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was like, I guess it was, since it was at Hollywood Studios, the theming was semi-relevant, but I don't know. And, I guess it being a press event, having a small enough crowd, maybe something like this could work. But anyway. But on the global 50th anniversary, there was a ceremony that linked all of the Disney theme parks around the world via satellite. On our end at Walt Disney World, comedian Wayne Brady served as the MC. And Main Street was set up for a vacathlon, where guests were supposed to run an obstacle course with luggage to promote Disney's Magical Express.
Interesting.
They had some out-of-the-box thinkers back in the day. I'll give them that.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty interesting. And again, that's just kind of stuff that I don't feel like we'll ever see something like that.
Oh,
again
for
in the
sure.
parks.
Yeah,
Because
I
you'd
mean,
have to shut off all of Main Street, pretty much.
Mhm.
I mean, if you want to talk about never see that kind of stuff again, we have to talk about the next one that you have one here, the Year of a Million
Oh,
Dreams, which this is such a like fond memory thing for me because I feel like the idea of this is everything I want in good Disney publicity, and it's never going to happen again.
yes.
Yeah, I feel like this was the pinnacle of Disney promotional events.
Yeah, and like I mean, we've talked about a little bit of Year of a Million Dreams, how there was the big giveaways and stuff like that, but I also want to remind everybody that like there was a lot more to this too. Disney had announced that they were going to open a bunch of different like attractions and lands and stuff like that, like all in one shot, kind of how they were trying to do it for the 50th, but this was like yeah, there were minor things here, but they were like they actually hit their opening dates and they, did the things that they said they were going to do. Um I have an article pulled up from WDW Info that specifically talks about all the things that came out. So there was the Disney Dreams Come True parade. We got Dream Along with Mickey. Um, the Let's Have a Ball Royal Court Academy, which I guess is like the performers in Fantasyland. Woody's Cowboy Camp, High School Musical Pep Rally, Seas with Nemo and Friends, Main Street Family Fun Day Parade, Finding Nemo the Musical, and Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. Like all of that came out during this celebration. Now, granted, that's a little bit of a graceful time window, but the fact that they still just dropped all of this stuff into the park and went, "Hey, here you go," and
Mhm.
also gave out a bunch of things too. Like that's the one big thing that everybody remembers about this, right?
Yes.
Like,
Mhm.
and I think part of the other thing that we really haven't discussed with this in like overall about it is that they specifically had cast members that would be handing out these prizes just throughout the park, right? Like were you guys there during this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Even this year, I definitely remember.
Because I definitely was, and I think I have pictures of some of this stuff too. But they used to have cast members that would be out just handing out the prizes if they were like, things like the night stay in Cinderella Castle, or they would hand out Year of a Million Dreams ears or lanyards and stuff like that. Like they had somebody out there just giving away things. And that link that I sent you guys, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, they give you the list of all of the promotional things that they gave away. And
Wow.
look at all of that stuff. Like just the size of that is insane.
That's the first one alone is nuts.
Yeah. So the first one on here is 3 Grand Marshal World Tours for winners, up to 3 guests to appear as Grand Marshals at the parades of Disneyland, Disney World, Disneyland Paris, Tokyo Disney, Tokyo Disneyland, Tokyo Disney Sea, and Hong Kong. Insane. 3 Disney Vacation Club memberships at Saratoga Springs Resort and Spa or another Disney Vacation Club resort as chosen by Disney. 220 points would be awarded. Wild.
Like, did they
Yeah.
get to keep, like, they got to be in the DVC forever or just like for this one trip? It says Disney Vacation Club membership. So,
I would assume that that's a membership, but I don't know how they would
like,
do
they
that.
still have to buy points, obviously, but they're like
Yeah,
bought
but
in.
Are they just given a
Jesus.
free 220 point contract? Because even that's still pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, that's worth a insane amount of money, like to just
Yeah.
be randomly given.
They also had ABDs, so Adventure by Disney Vacations would be awarded. There's Viva Italia, Cities of Nights and Lights, Path to Pura Vida, Quest for the West. Like even those two, like this list just doesn't seem to get smaller until like the very end, and even those are like pretty massive. Should we go through these or like just kind of give some highlights? I don't know if there's any ones that you want to talk about.
18 cruises,
Yep.
varying in days, but 18 total cruises
Yep.
they gave away. Wow.
And even like, okay, so the end of this list, right? Uh 4,200 after hours admission to Disney's MGM Studios, 5,800 after hours admission to Animal Kingdom, 3,200 after hours to Typhoon Lagoon, 32 to Blizzard Beach. Like, that's a lot.
The cool thing that I saw when I was looking at this was the Dream Fast Passes. This is like a very small one compared to all the rest of the things on the list, but it was this lanyard that had however many Fast Pass attractions were at that park. Like if you got it at Animal Kingdom at the time, there were 9 Fast Pass attractions. You got this lanyard and it had pull-off tabs for each one.
Oh,
so you got
have you
a
seen
Fast
those?
Pass for everything.
I
I'm looking at a picture of one right now.
I vaguely remember seeing those.
Let's see if I can send it to the chat.
Yeah.
You basically had to be super unlucky not to get something handed to you, right?
No, well, not really, because
Well, I mean, yeah.
I also don't think that we got anything, but if you kind of
Well, I
compare
guess
this to
that's,
the size
considering
of,
it was a year and a half or whatever.
right, this is a whole year. They were probably out there in one spot for like an hour giving away like 100 of these things. That's still a good chunk of people, but insane.
Wow.
I remember the mouse
Wild.
ears. That's the one that I remember specifically because they were like, let me see if I can find them. They were like these blue ears that had like the Mickey hats. Yeah, here we go. Here's a photo of a bunch of people wearing them.
Okay.
I don't know why I remember that specifically, but I don't know. And then obviously they also had like a bunch of the overlay stuff like the monorail, different decorations and stuff. It's just I wish they would do something like this again.
Mm-hmm.
I know, it's like this is obviously their most popular one, and it was so successful, and then they're like, "Yep, let's never do that again." I
It
don't
probably
know.
cost them so much money to do
It
a
did, but
lot of this.
again, you know, like we've said before, how much is good publicity worth? You would think now more than ever would be a fantastic time to do this when Disney's raking in money and has some, pretty extensive negative press going on with them. Like
Right.
doing something like this again I think it would do wonders for their PR.
The one thing that's kind of funny about this to me too is like this also, while being one of my favorite celebrations that Disney has ever done, has probably one of my least favorite things that Disney has also or is also known to do attached to it, and that's leaving something just completely abandoned. And you mentioning that made me think of the fact that literally no one stays in Cinderella Castle and it's just there all the
Mhm.
time. That room that
Just
they built for
chilling.
this celebration is just there.
I need to know what on this list would you guys have been most excited to receive?
Are we
I feel like
talking?
the obvious is like the top 3 or top
Well,
2.
hold on. I would say let's take this a step further and reference this as like you are the age that you would have been when this celebration was going on, because that also changes a lot of this. Because I don't think
Okay.
as a kid I would be very excited to, you know,
Well, I would have been 16 at this point. So a kid, but not a kid.
yeah, but I mean, I think even in that range, I don't know that I would necessarily be like as excited to do the holiday dinner at Walt Disney World, but like now that sounds like a blast.
Well, what if we do that and also what we would rather, like, if it were to
Okay,
happen
yeah, that's
right
fine.
now?
Honestly, as a kid, probably the after hours stuff.
So wait, how old were you guys in 2006?
And 14.
13.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely the
So
after
after
hours stuff, I
hours,
think.
God, man, kids are so stupid.
Honestly, though, like I feel like
No offense, Mario. I probably
It's
would
fine.
say the same thing, but like, what a dumb thing to pick out of all these things on the list.
realistically, that's the probably where I would fall as a kid too, because I don't know. I feel like my best memories are after the parks closed, and just being able to be in a limited window of that, I think would be great. As an adult, though, there's like 5 things on here that I would be super excited for.
Mhm.
I would say, as a 16-year-old, the prospect of a $500 shopping spree at World of Disney probably would have enticed me the most.
That's
That's a good
true.
Because
one.
$500 when you're 16 is like infinite money.
Yeah.
Hmm. No, I'm trying to think. Like, I've been 14, so that was like a weird age. But, huh.
There's
I
an
mean,
athlete one.
I saw that the Wide World of Sports being able to meet, that would be pretty cool. I would have liked that. I mean, I definitely think like the top ones would have been very good. Like to be, you know, a grand marshal in the parade would have been. I don't know if I would have appreciated it at 14,
Mhm.
but
Oh, I
like
would not have.
that definitely would have been a really awesome memory to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Wait,
as
so
a
what about not today?
31-year-old, obviously, I feel like the first one would be my pick. But I feel like that's too obvious, and I want to cancel it out and make it
Oh,
harder.
my obvious one,
Mm.
I feel like, is the second one. And if it's especially if it's like you're awarded the contract and you don't really have to worry about it because you're just
Well,
given
yeah,
a points contract. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh, I mean, like
Um,
financially, that's the correct answer. I mean,
yes, that is
all
the
of
correct
these.
answer.
If you
yes,
decide you never want to go to Disney anymore and you're allowed to sell that contract to somebody, then well, you've made bank. So
that's true.
Honestly, there's a couple of these that just sound incredible. Like I would even say the Star Wars weekend meet and greets. Like, yeah, that would be awesome. Um, and going as low as the VIP seats at the premiere of Finding Nemo the musical just for the bragging rights.
Yeah. For me, I think I would have to go with the Cinderella Castle stay because you literally can't do it any other way, pretty much, other than being invited. So I
yeah,
feel like that's probably the most exclusive of the things on this list.
That's true.
definitely. And yeah, like looking at it from my perspective, like being local, I don't know how much the vacation club membership would get used, but man, you get a free 10-night Disney cruise. That I think I'd probably go with that one nowadays.
What about the 14-night cruise
Oh, did I miss a fort? Oh, dang. I did.
to Barcelona?
That's interesting because we've actually talked about doing the Barcelona one now. So I would love to do that.
Man, I mean, I would be happy to get anything, but definitely like everything from above the after hours admissions is like dream status,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. That's why it was the year of a million dreams, I guess.
Oh, okay. So, wow. No, yeah, financially, that vacation club package is the best one. I'm looking at another site that says 3 winners would receive a Disney Vacation Club membership at Saratoga Springs Resort and Spa or another Disney Vacation Club resort as chosen by the Disney park. Prize included 220 points per year, said to be enough to stay 8 nights in one bathroom villas during Epcot's Food and Wine Festival every year until the membership expires in 2057 and still some points left over.
Wow.
The winners of the prize
Oh
were
my
covered as far as annual fees and taxes were concerned. The prize was estimated at a cost of $88,000.
Dang.
God. Damn. Yeah, that would be
That's a good
incredible.
pick.
And only 3 of them. I mean, that's probably the call for Disney, right? Like,
Ye- That's wild to think that those people still have like 35 years left of that.
35
for
years of
sure.
a million dreams, Brian.
Man. I'll be sucking that up for until I'm an old lady, pretty
That's
much.
a big dream.
DVC contracts are wild because, most of the time you're not seeing that
Oh my
contract
God.
through.
If I had won that, I would be 67 when it expired. What? That's literally a lifetime of Disney vacations.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, that's a good pick. I'll take it.
But even smaller things, I wish that they would do stuff like that still. Like the family that would get to ride around in the Main Street vehicles and wave at people. I I think this was also when they started being the family that having the family that would open the park. I wish that they would do stuff like that again.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I mean, even giving away some of the merchandise, how much unsold merchandise does Disney World have in a given year?
Well,
doing something simple
I
like
mean,
that.
you saw Cast Connection, Brian.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing too. Disney still makes money off of that, so it's the lost source of income if they're just giving it away. Unfortunately,
Yeah, but I mean,
goodwill versus income. I know.
yeah, just only give one of the Bobs take a quarter of their bonuses. Use that towards goodwill. It would go a long way.
It's I don't even feel like they need to do that. I mean, you have a store give away 5 T-shirts in a day. How much does that cost them? Just
Right.
yeah.
Before,
I mean, hell, I get excited to get pixie dusted. That costs nothing.
Before we wrap this week up, because we are going on almost 2 hours now, I want to talk about the last time that they did something special, which I don't know that this is what I would consider the perfect celebration, but it's pretty good. The Frozen celebration that they did at Hollywood Studios for
Frozen summer fun.
Yeah.
Frozen summer fun.
I am not gonna lie. This is still kind of crazy to me that this is very similar to the amount of stuff that they put out for Year of a Million Dreams. But I guess if anybody was gonna do it, it would be Frozen.
Yeah, they actually went quite ham for this.
So for this one, they released a bunch of food items, which obviously Disney does that all the time, but this was amidst the big construction wall mess of Hollywood Studios changing over. So I guess that kind of makes sense. They added
Fill it with Frozen, no one will notice.
They band-aided the park with Frozen pretty much. That's a good way to put it. They did a stage show for Frozen. There was the Frozen sing-along got added, which I'm not convinced wasn't supposed to be temporary, but is still pretty great. They had a giant sandcastle Olaf out front. And my absolute favorite thing that they did was they dropped an ice skating rink into Hollywood Studios.
In Florida.
Yeah.
Love it.
I remember getting handed a take. I'm looking at this article from Disney Food Blog, and that is not the channel I want to drop this in. The sports channel was about to be very confused as to why I was dropping a paper Olaf into their channel.
Oh my gosh.
But I remember being handed one of these when I was going into Hollywood Studios for that, and it's a dumb little thing, but I remember it.
Yeah. So, did you ice skate?
I did not. I think actually this year I was there twice, which is not usual for me. And I remember seeing it both times. And the last time that we went in there, I remember saying, "Hey, we should go check out the ice skating," and did not do it.
I don't understand how that was a thing that the lawyers greenlit.
Yeah, that seems like a huge liability issue.
Right. I feel like I've never been ice skating. I feel like I would get on there and immediately fall and break my arm.
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like
Well,
it's
you're
not-
from up north. You probably were born knowing how to ice skate.
no, definitely not that. But I mean, one, this picture's kind of comical. But
Oh, they made you wear a helmet. That's part of the
Apparently-
liability.
apparently they made you wear the helmet and the appropriate safety gear. But I also feel like they had to have limited the number of people, right?
Yeah.
Oh
And-
yeah.
Honestly, like pop-up ice skating rinks aren't really that, uncommon.
Yeah, I mean, we even have them here, but I've never done it because I'm scared.
Yeah, Jordan's been trying to get me to go for like our entire relationships. Still haven't been.
Eh. You want to talk about a liability compared to the Wandering Oakens ice skating rink? You should see the outdoor Rockefeller Center in New York ice skating rink.
They pack
made-
that sucker full, don't they?
Oh, they jam pack that thing.
Well, at least if you start to fall, you could grab somebody and drag them down with you, so you're not
Oh, yeah.
embarrassed alone.
A lot of people.
Well, I'm gonna.
Well,
say
this
let's
seems
wrap
like an
it up.
appropriate place
Yeah.
to stop as Frozen as all things Disney are.
Live and die by.
We live
by the
in
mouse and
ice.
Frozen.
In this house, we let it go.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.